Orhan stands alone inside an old, broken tunnel. The place is silent, so he stays alert and keeps his weapon ready. Without warning, several demon rats rush straight at him. He reacts instantly and cuts them down with quick, clean sword swings. After the fight, he pauses for a moment. His breathing is steady. His body doesn't feel weak. He realizes he is not as rusty as he believed. That small success gives him hope. Maybe his dream of becoming a true swordsman is not dead yet. Before he can relax, a group of goblins appears ahead. This time, Orhan decides not to rely only on his sword. He chooses to test his support magic. He casts the spell on himself. Power flows through his body, and a dark green light surrounds him. Support magic is mainly used to increase physical strength or improve equipment. Most people use it on teammates, but it can also be used on oneself. With his strength boosted, Orhan moves forward and defeats the goblins with ease. These kinds of spells are important for surviving hard battles. Still, Orhan knows their weakness. Support magic does not last forever. The duration depends on how strong the caster's magic resistance is. For Orhan, the effect only lasts about 3 minutes. If the spell fades in the middle of a fight, the danger increases immediately. He casts the spell again at the right moment and calmly finishes off the last group of goblins with careful movements. Even after seeing his skill and control, the party leader, Oliver, suddenly tells Orhan that he is being removed from the group. Orhan is completely stunned. He cannot believe what he is hearing. To him, it sounds like a cruel joke. After all, he and Oliver have been friends since they were kids. Oliver then speaks honestly. He says their friendship is real, and that is exactly why he gave Orhan so many chances. But in the end, nothing changed. Orhan can no longer keep up with the rest of the team. Annalie and Derek step forward and tell Oliver to stop softening the truth. They bluntly tell Orhan that he is being kicked out because he is not strong enough. Orhan stands there, frozen. His mind struggles to accept it. This party was formed by Orhan and Oliver 8 years ago. They grew fast and became incredibly powerful. They were the first group to ever reach the 94th floor of the Southern Great Dungeon. Because of that, people began calling them the Heroes Party. Oliver admits that Orhan's support magic is not useless, but during their last mission, they saw enchanters from other teams. After comparing the difference, they realized how far behind Orhan truly was. Orhan reminds them that he is a swordsman, not a pure enchanter. Support magic was never supposed to be his main role. Dennis suddenly snaps at him and tells him to stop lying. He says Orhan only changed roles because Oliver was always better with a sword. Orhan denies it. He explains that the party desperately needed an enchanter, and he was the one with the most talent for it. He even created his own magic to cover his weaknesses. That effort is likely the reason they survived the deepest dungeon floors. Oliver ends the argument. He tells Orhan it no longer matters because they have already found a replacement. Orhan's eyes widen. He asks if this is really how they plan to treat him after everything they have been through. Deep down, he knows Oliver is right. There is no reason to keep fighting. Holding on to his last bit of pride, Orhan turns around and walks away. As he leaves, Annalie calls out to him. She says people like him are called Jack of all trades. He can do many things, but he is never truly great at any one of them. Later, while walking through the tunnel, Orhan thinks about those words. He believes he is flexible enough to master both the sword and magic, and when that day comes, no one will dare call him that again. Feeling exhausted, Orhan decides to head home. At the dungeon entrance, a group of adventurers suddenly runs out. They are pale, shaking, and clearly terrified. Orhan ignores them and keeps walking. Then he hears something that makes him slow down. They are talking about being ambushed by a large group of orcs. With no way to fight back, they were forced to retreat, and in their escape, they had no choice but to leave behind the new girl who joined their party earlier that day. Orhan suddenly stops when he hears their conversation. He knows he should walk away and stay out of it. Even so, his body refuses to move. His hand tightens into a fist. He understands better than anyone how painful it is to be abandoned by your own team. The adventurers begin defending their choice, saying they had no option but to leave the girl behind. That is when Orhan finally speaks. He tells them that people like them anger him the most. They argue back, claiming that even if they had stayed, the result would have been the same. Their leader loses his temper after being questioned by a stranger. He throws a punch at Orhan. Orhan calmly blocks the attack and strikes back, slamming the man hard onto the ground. He then asks them where they left the girl. Deep inside the dungeon, the girl is pressed against a stone wall. Orcs slowly close in on her from every side. She raises a magical barrier to protect herself. For a short time, it holds, but the orcs keep smashing it again and again until it finally breaks. With nowhere left to run, she lowers her head and quietly accepts what is is coming. Suddenly, a strong wind sweeps through the room. In the next instant, Orhan appears in front of her. Without hesitation, he casts his support magic and charges forward. His sword flashes as he cuts down several orcs. The girl stares in disbelief. She has never seen someone fight while using support magic at the same time. She cannot tell if he is a swordsman or an enchanter. Orhan keeps moving, striking down enemy after enemy. The girl watches in shock, unable to look away. As the fight continues, Orhan realizes there are many orcs. He understands why a weak party would choose to flee. Even so, he knows they are no threat to him. Using his enhanced blade, he finishes the remaining orcs in a single swift attack. When the battle ends, Orhan walks over and asks if she is hurt. The girl suddenly collapses and breaks down in tears. A few minutes later, they leave through a nearby exit. Outside the dungeon, Orhan tells her goodbye and starts to walk away. She quickly stops him and says she wants to thank him properly. She introduces herself as Sophia and offers to buy him dinner as a way of showing her gratitude. Orhan refuses at first, saying he did not save her for thanks. Sophia looks at him with pleading eyes. He sighs and gives in, unable to turn her down. He agrees to eat with her. Before they leave, Orhan notices the symbol on her cloak. It feels familiar, though he cannot remember where he has seen it. That night, they arrive at a small restaurant. Sophia says it is her favorite place. When Orhan sees the sign outside, his memory clicks. The symbol belongs to one of the rabbit shops. He connects it to the crest on her cloak and realizes that Sophia is part of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, one of the largest guilds in the kingdom of Nohitin. Inside the restaurant, Sophia suddenly runs into her older sister, Selma. Sophia asks why she is there, and Selma casually replies that she had business nearby and stopped to eat. Selma notices Orhan and immediately scolds Sophia, saying it is too early for her to be hanging around men. Sophia is surprised to learn that Orhan and Selma already know each other. Selma is a member of an S-ranked team, the strongest group within the Silver Rabbits. She is also known as the most powerful enchanter on the continent. She was the one who made enchantment famous. She created the idea of dividing parties into roles: attackers to fight, defenders to protect, and supporters to assist from behind. That system changed how all adventurers prepare for dungeons. It was because of her influence that Orhan chose to become an enchanter for his old party, and after seeing Selma's overwhelming enchantments during a raid last month, Oliver and the others decided Orhan was no longer needed. Orhan looks at Selma, confused by the cold glare she gives him. Suddenly, Selma accuses him of trying to get close to her 14-year-old sister. Orhan quickly explains that all he agreed to was dinner and that his intentions are clean. That answer only makes Selma angrier. She assumes he is saying Sophia is not good enough for him. Before things get worse, Sophia steps in and tells Selma to stop yelling. She reminds her that this man is the one who saved her life. Selma looks confused at first. Then, after a moment, her expression changes. She finally understands what happened. Sophia went into the dungeon alone. Sophia lowers her head and apologizes. The three of them sit down and begin eating together. Sophia is still curious about how Orhan and Selma know each other. Orhan explains that they met during a large raid. Back then, both of them were enchanters assigned to the same unit. Selma ranked higher, so she led the group while Orhan supported her during the mission. Selma looks surprised that Sophia does not recognize Orhan's name. She tells her that he was part of the famous Heroes party. Sophia gasps and immediately starts acting much more polite toward him. Orhan quickly clears things up. He tells them he is no longer part of the Heroes party. Selma is shocked. She cannot believe such a skilled enchanter was let go. She asks if that means Orhan is free now. Orhan assumes she is about to invite him to join the Silver Rabbits. Before she can finish, he refuses and says he does not plan to join any party. Selma stops him and says he misunderstood. She is not trying to recruit him. Instead, she wants him to serve as a tutor for a training expedition starting tomorrow. His job would be to help guide and train new recruits. The plan is for adventurers ranked A and above to lead the group. Over 3 days, they will descend 50 floors into the Southern Great Dungeon. Orhan is stunned. Even elite adventurers usually take 6 months or more to reach that depth. Selma admits it will be extremely difficult, but if they take the shortest route, it is possible. Orhan realizes something does not add up. The plan is dangerous enough that the clan could have rejected the sponsors if they wanted. That means there must be another reason. After thinking for a moment, he understands. If new recruits who cannot even defeat a floor boss are allowed to reach deeper levels, the entire clan will grow stronger much faster. Selma looks surprised. She did not expect Orhan to figure that out so quickly. In the dungeon, a boss appears every 10 floors. Defeating it is required to go deeper. New recruits often get badly injured or even die during these fights. But if a tutor defeats the boss instead, the recruits only need to register at the crystal and continue. That is why the clan needs as many powerful tutors as possible. Selma gently takes Orhan's hands and tells him she truly respects him. That is why she wants him on this mission. Hearing her words, Orhan remembers being kicked out of the heroes party because his support magic was weaker than hers. The thought alone tells him one thing clearly: if he returns to being an enchanter, he will regret it. He pulls his hands back and tells Selma he cannot join because he already has plans. Sophia suddenly looks at him with pleading eyes and begs him to come along. Orhan gives up. He agrees, but with one condition. He tells Selma that he has switched paths. If he joins them, it will be as a swordsman, not an enchanter. Selma is surprised but does not argue. If things go wrong, she believes he can always return to enchantment. She tells him to be at Silver Rabbit headquarters the next morning. Later that night, Orhan visits his favorite shop. The owner is about to close, but still invites him in for a drink. The old man thanks Orhan for promoting the store back when he was a famous adventurer. Because of that, business has been great. Orhan feels awkward and admits he is no longer part of the heroes party. Even so, the owner thanks him sincerely. Orhan is confused. Despite being cast aside, he is still being appreciated. The old man smiles and tells him that he feels Orhan will receive many more thanks in the future. He says leaving the heroes party may actually turn out to be a blessing, one Orhan simply cannot see yet. He tells Orhan to trust his heart and walk his own path. No matter what happens, he promises to always support him. Orhan's eyes fill with tears. He bows his head and thanks the old man from the bottom of his heart. The next morning, Orhan shows up at the Silver Rabbit headquarters. He looks calm, healthy, and way less stressed than before. Selma notices this and asks if he feels lighter now that he's no longer stuck with the heroes party. Orhan says, yeah. Kind of. Not fully happy, but at least his headache is gone. Then the clan leader, Vince Bars, steps in and thanks him for coming. He says he's heard a lot about Orhan already, including the very stupid decision of the heroes party to kick him out. Orhan clearly doesn't want to open that wound again, so he smoothly changes the topic and asks about the teaching mission instead. Selma explains that in 3 days, they'll head deep into the Great Southern Labyrinth, all the way to the 51st floor. On the first day, they'll stop at the 21st floor. On the second day, the 36th, and then they'll push further step by step. While she's explaining this, we jump back to an earlier moment. Selma was talking to Vince about Orhan leaving the heroes party. She said it was a massive loss because without Dura, that team would never be the same. Vince agreed. Sure, Orhan's raw magic power wasn't anything crazy, but his real strength was support magic. His enchantments were fast. No, not fast, ridiculously fast. 4 times faster than Selma's. That's like finishing a fight while others are still warming up. On top of that, Selma had seen him use spells that didn't even exist in books. Original stuff. He could read the battlefield, predict what would happen next, and support his teammates at the exact right moment. Basically, he had every skill a top-tier enchanter should have. Yet the heroes party treated him like yesterday's trash. Selma was sure of one thing. With Orhan around, the Silver Rabbits would climb back to the top very soon. When Vince heard all this, he couldn't understand how someone like Orhan Dura could be thrown away so easily. One of his subordinates explained it simply. Support classes never get proper credit. Because she's famous, people overpraise her. But real monsters like Orhan, they get ignored, stepped on, and blamed for everything. Classic teamwork logic. Back in the present, Orhan listens carefully and reviews the plan. There will be 10 rookie groups and 5 escorts. Selma and Orhan are part of the escort team. The rookies will take turns fighting monsters, and if anything goes wrong, the escorts will jump in and clean up the mess. Orhan then asks a very logical question. Why only 5 escorts? With such a tight schedule and so many beginners, wouldn't more high-ranked fighters reduce the danger? Selma smiles and says they want the rookies to face real hardship so they can grow stronger. Orhan immediately knows that's not the real reason. It smells like half a lie, but he also knows better than to push. He's still an outsider after all. Even so, he agrees to help. Vince thanks him and explains the payment. 2 gold coins up front and 10 more if the mission succeeds. Orhan almost chokes internally. That amount could cover a normal person's living expenses for an entire year. He even says it feels like too much. Selma tells him straight up, this is what they think he's worth. Hearing that, Orhan promises he'll give it everything he's got. A few hours later, Orhan arrives at the dungeon entrance. The rookies are already there, nervously checking their gear and pretending they're not scared. When Selma shows up with Sophia, Orhan notices that Sophia is wearing the same outfit as before. Looks like it's the standard beginner uniform. He tells her she looks great in it. Sophia instantly turns red and thanks him in a tiny voice. Selma watches this and immediately starts teasing him, saying he sure knows how to charm young ladies. Then, with a suspicious look, she asks if he has a girlfriend. Orhan scratches his head and says no, but since his old team had women, he probably learned how to talk without getting slapped. Selma remembers that the heroes' party used to live together in one big mansion. Sophia then asks where Orhan is staying now. He casually answers that he's living at an inn. And just like that, the journey into the labyrinth is about to begin. The moment Sophia asks where Orhan is living, Selma completely freezes. Her brain instantly jumps to the worst conclusion. Why does her little sister want to know his address? Is she planning a visit, a surprise visit, a totally not suspicious visit? Selma panics so hard that Sophia has to wave her hands and quickly explain she was just curious. Nothing else. Selma calms down a little. To escape that awkward moment, Selma switches topics and asks why Orhan is standing so far away from the rookies. Orhan calmly explains that since he's an outsider, he doesn't want to crowd them. In fact, keeping some distance actually makes beginners more alert. Nervous people pay more attention. It's scary, but useful. Since we're already talking about nervous rookies, Orhan suggests Selma help calm them down. She agrees and tells Sophia to go meet up with her team. Not long after, Orhan walks with Selma toward 3 adventurers who are assigned as escorts. Selma introduces Orhan with full confidence, praising him and saying he'll be an amazing teammate. Coming from someone like her, that praise hits hard, and the 3 escorts instantly believe it. Orhan, meanwhile, is quietly dying inside and asks her not to hype him up so much, especially in front of others. Introductions begin. The blue-haired guy says his name is Anthem and that he's a defender. Bernard, the serious-looking one, is also a defender. Kathy introduces herself as the healer. Orhun introduces himself as the attacker. Looking at the lineup, Orhun admits the team is well balanced. But then a thought hits him. If he hadn't joined, one of them would have been forced to act as the attacker. That doesn't sit right with him. This plan feels weird. Seeing the doubt on Orhan's face, Selma once again remembers a private talk she had with Vince. He told her he understood how painful it was to lose such a powerful card, but he also reminded her of a hard truth. Orhan is an enchanter, just like Selma. Because of party balance, he couldn't stay in the first squad, no matter how strong he was. Selma agreed, but it still hurt. Her clan hadn't improved at all since last year, not even one step forward. That made her believe the Silver Rabbits were slowly falling behind. That fear is exactly why she invited Orhan to this expedition. Still, Orhan only agreed on one condition. He would fight on the front lines as a swordsman, not sit in the back as support. All Selma can do now is hope that when things get dangerous, he truly stands at the front. After finishing with the escort group, Selma and Orhan move toward the rookies. Selma steps forward, and the moment she does, everyone falls silent. She announces that today marks the beginning of their descent toward the 51st floor of the Great Southern Labyrinth. She knows they're nervous. Reaching such a deep level so early in their careers is terrifying, but she tells them not to panic because she brought someone special in case anything goes wrong. Then she introduces Orhan. She reveals that he has already reached the 94th floor, a place even top figures of the kingdom have never seen, a level Selma herself hasn't reached. The rookies are stunned. Whispers spread instantly. People turn their heads, staring at Orhan like he's some dungeon monster wearing human skin. Orhan quietly asks Selma to stop raising the bar any higher. She ignores him. Not only does she say he'll be their main example inside the dungeon, but she also casually drops the bomb that he used to be part of the hero's party. Boom. In one sentence, Orhan becomes a celebrity. The trainees look at him like he's a walking legend. After the speech, Orhan complains that she basically placed him on a god-level pedestal. Selma says it was necessary. If the rookies feel safe, they'll perform better. In Orhan's head, though, the word hero only matters if it helps his grandfather run the shop back home. That's it. He just hopes all this attention doesn't turn into a massive headache later. Selma then assigns Orhan to Team 10, made up of the most talented rookies. If they learn teamwork, they could easily reach the middle floors. She grabs Orhan's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze, as if asking him to look after them. Orhan isn't sure if trusting an outsider this much is wise, but it's too late now. He walks over to Team 10. 3 rookies are standing there, including Sophia. Orhan looks around. Something feels off. Someone is missing. After a quick head count, Orhan realizes something uncomfortable. Yes, everyone is present, but this team is tiny, way too tiny. Sending so few rookies together is risky, extremely risky. The confident boy steps forward with a smile that screams future headache and says that no one else can keep up with their speed anyway. Orhan looks at him and silently wonders what kind of menace this kid will become when he grows up if he already has this much attitude now. Orhan tells them to introduce themselves properly. The smug kid goes first. He says his name is Logan Hayward and proudly declares that he's an enchanter who will one day surpass Selma herself. Orhan nods politely, but inside he's thinking, ah yes, confidence level, boss fight. Next is Caroline Inglot, who introduces herself as a defender. Orhan quickly notices something strange. For a defender, she's barely wearing any protective gear. When he asks about it, Caroline casually explains that she hates armor and shields. She prefers dodging instead of blocking because the idea of disgusting monsters touching her makes her sick. Ironically, because she wants to kill monsters more than anything, she picked the class that forces her to get as close to them as possible. That logic hurts Orhan's brain. He calmly points out that dodging attacks is much harder than blocking them, especially for someone with little experience. He asks if anyone in the clan tried to stop her. Logan answers that plenty of people did, and Caroline ignored all of them. That comment instantly turns into a loud argument between the two. To stop this nonsense before it turns into a duel, Orhan asks the final member to introduce herself. Sophia steps forward and says her name is Sophia Clottle. She explains that she's a rear line attack mage. The moment she finishes, Logan and Caroline start arguing again. Orhan sighs internally. This mission is going to be pain. Surprisingly, the moment they step into the labyrinth, the kids go quiet. The dungeon atmosphere instantly shuts their mouths. While walking, Caroline asks why someone from the heroes' party is even here. She thought their clans were rivals. Orhan calmly explains that he's no longer part of that team. It's a highly prestigious group after all, and he's not in it anymore. Caroline pushes further and demands to know why he left. Orhan refuses to answer. Hard stop. Changing targets, Caroline looks at Sophia and says she must already know Orhan, since she mentioned they'd be escorted by someone amazing. Caroline demands confirmation. Is this the amazing guy? Cornered, Sophia turns as red as her hair and admits that yes, this is him. She says Orhan saved her life once, that he's incredibly strong, and that he used to be part of the heroes' party. She also says her sister told her not to worry, because as long as Dora was there, everything would be fine. Orhan listens quietly. He doesn't see himself as a hero at all. He even wonders if Selma exaggerated everything just to keep her sister calm. Suddenly, 2 wolves that had been silently watching decide to attack from behind. Bad idea. They leap forward and instantly trigger a magical trap Orhan placed earlier along the path. The wolves are neutralized before they even reach the group. Orhan feels relieved. Preparing traps for surprise attacks was the right call. These kinds of enemies aren't worth wasting time on. Time is precious here. If they're going to struggle, it should be against real threats. Later, when Team 10 reaches the 20th floor, Orhan has seen enough. He won't have much trouble supervising them for the rest of the expedition. Logan, despite being annoying, is actually talented. His enchantments are solid, and if he performs well in longer fights, he'll be very useful in a ranked group someday. That said, he's terrible at giving orders, which is a big problem for his role. Still, that's something he can learn with time. Caroline is insanely fast, just like a dodge-based defender should be, but she has 2 serious problems. First, she attacks without thinking and constantly puts herself in danger. Yes, she needs to be on the front line, but the way she throws herself into danger is worrying. Second, she only uses 2 daggers. They fit her style, but the damage output is low. The team lacks firepower because of it. Sophia isn't as flashy as the other 2, but she's already stronger than an average rookie. She hesitates sometimes and stays passive during fights, but that should improve once she syncs better with her teammates. Most importantly, she doesn't have any major weaknesses, which makes her future growth very promising. Meanwhile, Selma's group, with help from the escorts, defeats the boss of the 20th floor. After that, the rookies register the floor on their guild cards, officially ending the first day of the expedition. With some time to relax, Selma asks Orhan what he thinks. He says Team 10 has serious potential, but they don't work well together yet. He admits he's especially worried about Caroline. Selma says she's already improved a lot recently. Orhan can't help but wonder how terrifying she must have been before that improvement. The next morning, Orhan's mood crashes hard. He opens the newspaper and sees a front-page article about the Heroes Party's new enchanter. The article openly states that Orhan was expelled. No mercy, no respect. that. Angry and humiliated, he crushes the paper in his hands. What worries him even more is the thought that some rookie might have read it and started looking at him differently. That's the last thing he wants. As he leaves the inn and heads to the meeting point, a familiar voice calls out to him. It's Luna, someone he hasn't seen in a long time. Back when Orhan was still in the hero's party, when everyone else treated him worse and worse, Luna stayed kind. Always. When he was expelled, she wasn't there. She had been away handling a family matter. And deep down, Orhan believes that if she had been there, things might have gone differently. Luna looks at him with desperate eyes and begs him to come back to the party. Orhan asks the obvious question, do the others want him back too? Luna hesitates and admits that she's the only one asking. Still, she promises that if he returns, she'll do everything she can to convince the others. Orhan can see she means it. She's serious. But he shakes his head. It's too late now, especially after that article. Luna grabs his hand and reminds him of their promise to conquer the great labyrinth together. Orhan's expression hardens. He pulls his hand away and says that promise was made by 3 people. Him, Luna, and Oliver. And Oliver was the one who kicked him out. That promise is dead. With that, Orhan walks away, irritated and heavy-hearted. Deep down, he admits that he truly wanted the 3 of them to stay together forever. He really wanted that future, but wishing won't change reality. Orhan Dora has no place to return to anymore.